Our administration has invested, and this has been a total game changer. In the time we have been in office, we are now on track to invest $1 trillion in addressing the climate crisis around adaptation and resilience and investing in a clean energy economy.
Wow. Wow.
And I will tell you, we are making a particular effort to also acknowledge that while the climate crisis impacts everyone, it does not do so equally. Because when you look at how the effect...
Some say that if the White House and Congress do not cut inflation causing government spending, the results could be catastrophic. And in 2020, during the height of the crisis, the former president and a Democratic-led Congress spent vast amounts of money to keep the economy afloat. But can this happen again? And will Joe Biden send out the fourth stimulus check right now? Because people are waiting for it and people need the stimulus. Important news, inflation is beginning to increase nationwide. Experts say this will affect the monthly benefit boost that is coming to you guys next month. In fact, the Energy Department has also issued its final efficiency rules for residential furnaces, which in projects will actually save Americans $1 billion in heating expenses over the year. And the rule marks the first update to furnace efficiency standards since 2007. Under the update rule, residential gas-powered furnaces, the source of about 20% of annual home energy, will provide at least 95% fuel efficiency, converting almost all the gas they consume into heat. The Parliament actually projected the updated rule will result in 22 million fewer metric tons of carbon emissions and 4 million tons of methane emissions. The Secretary of Energy even said that the Energy Department is continuing to review and finalize energy standards for household appliances like residential furnaces to lower costs for working families by reducing energy use and slashing harmful pollutants in homes across the nation. Heating compromises most U.S. households' largest single utility, costing an average of just $700 every single month. And according to Huffington Post, Joe Biden's landmark Inflation Reduction Act is packed with billions of dollars worth of credits and rebates for purchasing electric vehicles and making home improvements to save energy. According to lawmakers, if you're a low and middle income homeowner looking for a fuel covering costs, then you'll have to wait until next year for a rebate. Democratic representatives and at least 65 other Democrats sent a letter demanding that her agency, the Energy Secretary's agency that is, revise the rulebook to allow states to make rebates retroactively available to everybody. The issue centers on a nearly $9 billion pot in funding in the IRA meant to help homeowners buy electric appliances and upgrade homes to cut back on energy usage. The federal government is also set to give the home money to states and distribute them directly. Despite months of back and forth with the Energy Department, Huffman said the agency has so far refused to change the rulebook, with fuel prices steadily coming again nationwide. Southern Californians are experiencing some of the worst pain at the pump, thanks to a string of issues at local refineries. A move by California Gavin Newsom actually made a switch to winter blend fuel earlier than usual, but it could bring relief within weeks. According to AAA, from Wednesday and Thursday, the average price of a gallon of gas in California surged by nearly 14 cents. By Friday, the average was actually $6. Now, first of all, getting refinery back to producing gas takes time, even if there are problems fixed. As a result, the gas supply in California has been hit hard, and experts estimate that the missing fuel volume could be in the millions of gas. This could actually cause some problems for people who are trying to receive stimulus.
Long time sometimes. And when it's born out of something that has been anything from a mistake to a vicious intent, you know, it varies in degrees. I'm not saying I know the same. But I just, look, I mean.
The program sets restrictions on both net and gross monthly income broken down to household size. But the barrier to acquiring food aid in Michigan has been lowered. It is Governor Gretchen Whitmer, signed a bipartisan bill removing the asset test as a requirement to receive SNAP benefits. And according to the Michigan Executive Office of the Governor, the move will offer greater financial security to those who need it the most and ease the burden of receiving aid. Michigan is now one of the 37 states with similar laws, and the governor says people who had more than $15,000 worth of assets, including vehicles and savings, were disqualified for food. She'll say that 500,000 children in Michigan will benefit from the Social Security benefit that you should be getting. That's a free amount of stimulus. And recipients who retired at age 67 will get a maximum of $3,300, but anyone who retired at age 62 will get up to $2,300. The payment schedule for Wednesday will be for recipients who were born between the 21st and 31st of the month. Recipients of SSI will also receive their monthly income payment of $914 at the beginning of February, and the money from this payment will either be a lot or a little bit. It will allow people to afford basic necessities and food items and get shelter and food and things like that. Because according to the Fed, the payments are intended to help elderly, blind, disabled people who have low to no income of their own. Eligible SI couples are essential, and people who are living on a fixed income cannot get that stimulus cash. Payment recipients are not receiving any payment for January because they received 2 payments in December, one on December 1st and 30th. The latter payment reserved is for SI payments for January. In the year, the Social Security Administration will issue double payments to recipients in March, June, September, and December, as the first of the day will either be on a weekend or holiday. Because payments to SI recipients will be slightly higher than the payments issued in 2022 due to the COLA made by the SSA. The payment amount issued to recipients in 2022 was already $841. This year's payment is $8.7, just higher to reflect the payment and adjustment. The Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office updated its long-term projections on the solvency of Social Security last month, finding that the program's major trust funds can be tapped out in 2023. And this budget found that if the projected gap between the outlays in the trust funds and revenue they receive is forecast, the balance of the trust funds will hit zero, and the Social Security Administration wouldn't be able to pay out for retirements as they come due. Specifically, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund means that people won't be getting a lot of stimulus cash for a while. Because if the 2 trust funds were combined, the exhaustion date would be around 2033. And federal spending on Social Security has been on an upward trend, as the proportion of Americans at or above retirement age have increased relative to the active workforce. It has strained the program's trust funds for the first time in a long time. But now, the CBO analysts said that Social Security benefits will look at the projection cost at the 2023 trust funds. Now, if it found that Social Security benefits were limited to what's payable from tax revenues, benefit payments, it would be about 23% smaller than the scheduled benefit for next year. The gap would rise again as time goes on, and that's only payable to an even smaller amount of people. And when it's payable to an even smaller amount of people, it means that people are not getting their stimulus check. But they can get it this month if they qualify and meet certain requirements. So these are the requirements that
Mr. President, President Biden on June 3rd, 2021, last year, issued a memorandum on establishing the fight against corruption as a core U.S. national security interest. I want to quote from the President when he issued that memorandum. President Biden said, "Corruption threatens the United States national security, economic equity, global anti-poverty and development efforts, and democracy itself. By effectively preventing and countering corruption and demonstrating the advantages of transparent and accountable governance, we can secure a critical advantage for the United States and other democracies." Corruption is a national